Hey guys, welcome back. This is Kelly and you found me on Pickin' Roots and Shoots. And this week I'm going to walk you through just a couple of the prep things that I'm doing in my kitchen, some of the things I've got tied in with our Azure standard order, and some of the new items I like to kind of go through and just show you what I did with some of those things. So I'm going to work through all of that cheese that I bought. I'm going to show you how to grow some sprouts, and then I'm also going to show you how that 4-jar lid opener worked. Next, I'm going to be starting a couple different groups of our seed sprouting. So I just wanted to show you some of the different vessels that I really like to use. I have 3 different ones here that I'm going to be filling today. I actually have a couple other varieties, but these seem to be the ones I reach for the most. This is by the Sprouting Company, and it is it's the most expensive one. I reach for this one first though every single time. There's really nothing super exciting about it. It just seems to work really well for me, and I love that the glass is super heavy duty. But if you're just getting started, they make these lids that fit right onto any of your wide mouth mason jars, canning jars. And then once you get it installed, it will do the same tilt. It has its own little vessel that holds it, so when it drips, it doesn't make a mess in your kitchen. So I definitely recommend these if you're just starting, so you can kind of see if you like them. The other one that I really like to do is sprouting microgreens. So there's a screen in here, and this is what I'm going to use for my radishes or my sunflower seeds or any of those more robust microgreens instead of the sprouts. So first off, I'm going to do my broccoli sprouts. We just got these in last month from Azure Standard. So first I'm going to get the broccoli sprouts ready. I'm going to go ahead and do that in my big, the Sprouting Company jar. It has this 2-part lid that has a great little screen in it, and then the ring, just like you would for your canning jars. And I'm going to put a full 2 tablespoons in here. Actually, this is a really big spoon. It's probably closer to 3. And then with this one, I can actually just go ahead and put my ring and my lid on because it can sit in this vessel while it's soaking. So I'm going to add some water to it. This is just filtered water out of our Berkey. And I'm going to cover all my seeds, and then I'm going to let it sit just like this on the countertop for about 12 hours. So we'll do the same thing with this smaller jar for my alfalfa seeds. Now I'm only going to put 1 tablespoon in this quart jar because it just feels a little bit crowded to me when I do more than that. So we'll just put our lid on, add a little bit of water, and these are ready to soak. And then because on the radishes, when I put them into this one, I can't soak them in there, I'm going to go ahead and put them into this jar that I already have with my water in it. And when I fill up this entire tray, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use everything I've got here. I probably don't have enough to do a full load, but I'm going to try it anyways. So this is probably about a tablespoon. So this isn't going to be my best radishes, but I'm totally out, and I will have to order some more for next month. So that's it for day 1. Now all I'm going to have to do is once or twice a day, I'm going to be rinsing these seeds, swirling the water around, and then draining it. So starting 12 hours from now, I will go ahead and drain all the water, add some more water to kind of flush it through, and then drain it immediately. So this is the last time any of these will be soaking, and they're just going to soak for this first 12 hours. Okay, so now it's been about 12 hours. I'm going to go ahead and take all of my seeds and swirl them around, and then just give them a quick rinse out. And then once it's drained a lot of the water out, I like to kind of roll it around so that the seeds will coat the inside of the jar so that they're a little bit more separated. And then I'm going to let it continue to drain on the countertop. And then it just sits right here in this rack. And then this one will work the same way. And then lastly, I have my radish sprouts. So you remember
I don't quite have enough of these, but as I'm going to strain these, I'm just going to do it into the mesh that I'm going to use. And usually I like to cover the whole bottom of the tray. So these aren't going to stand up very well when they get fully grown in because there's just not enough of them to support each other. But it was the end of that seed packet, and I'll get some more in my next shipment. And then these will just sit in this tray and drain. And I had some little helpers in my kitchen the last time I used my seed tray, and there is a stainless steel plate that goes right over the top of this, and I can't seem to find it. So, you know, the little helpers helped too much. So I'm just going to cover it with the plate. That way it keeps all the sunlight out, and it will give them something to push against, which usually makes them a little bit more robust so that they will stand up better when I'm spraying them every time. Okay, this is day 2. You can see those are the alfalfa sprouts. They are starting to put out the tiniest bit of growth. And when I move it, you can hear they're really dry in there. Usually the first day or 2, I try to water them twice a day, but yesterday got busy. So we will go ahead and get those wet and swirl them around. Here's the broccoli sprouts. You can see they're a little bit slower to start, but they are starting. And then we have our radish sprouts starting to make the tiniest tails, but not all of them have sprouted just yet. Make sure we've got cold water. And I just like to continue to give these a good spray. I may not do that once they get larger because I don't quite have enough seeds in there for them to really support each other. But I'm going to make sure that I've got them evenly distributed. They get a nice good rinse. And then I also like to rinse out the bottom. And that's it. And again, I like to kind of spread them out if I can. Just feel like they do better than getting 100% clumped up at the bottom. Oh yeah, you can hear this one. That one could have stood to be watered a second time yesterday. And that's it. We're good for another 12 to 24. Now you can see on my radish sprouts, they're starting to get some of those little tiny fibers. It actually can almost look like mold, but it's not. It's just the fibers that are starting in on the roots. After I spray that off, you won't be able to see those anymore. And you can see the roots are starting to poke out of the bottom here, and they're going to dangle down into the water below. So I always like to kind of spray off the bottom side as well. I'll give this a rinse. Oopsie, what did I do? It looks like I dumped a couple of them out. Oh well. And so now you can see, like, you really can't see those little fibers anymore. All right, next up we have our broccoli sprouts. Kind of a similar thing. They're starting to get those little areas that have the teeny tiny hairs. So it does almost look like mold, but that's not what that is. And you can see they're kind of wanting to stick and stay on this downside. So I'm going to make sure I fill it up and loosen them away so that they have plenty of room to grow and they're not overcrowded. And then once they've mostly loosened up, you can bring them back out again. I'll let those soak for just a minute. And lastly, we have our alfalfa sprouts. These are definitely putting out bigger roots than the broccoli, growing a little bit faster, but the broccoli will catch up or outpace them soon. Okay, we'll drain it and do it again tomorrow. We're just going to rinse and repeat. So you can see there's some more of those little hairs on the roots again. And you can see the roots are really starting to come out of the bottom there. And then we've got our alfalfa sprouts really starting to take off. And our broccoli sprouts. You can see they've kind of got those same hairy areas just like the radishes did. Just taking them a little bit longer. And they're really congregated here. So I'm going to make sure and shake that one up really well so that they have a chance to separate. What I found, the lid, it had fallen behind the cabinet where I let these rest. So this is day 4. They turned a little bit green because I had the cover off for a minute while I washed that. But normally they're going to stay kind of yellow until you get the lid off and you let them have sun exposure. So we still have our roots coming out of the bottom. We can kind of see there's a little bit of hair developing on them still. We're just going to give it a quick rest. Here we have our alfalfa sprouts. Most of them have sprouted. These up here at the top that you can see, that's the hulls of a lot of the seeds. So when we get ready to harvest these, you can totally eat those or you can kind of rinse those out. And then we've also got our broccoli sprouts. So they're starting to develop. They are in and out of the way in our laundry room, so they don't get much sun, but there is a little bit of greening up. But you can see there's holes stuck to the edge here too, as in addition to the seeds that have sprouted. So I'm probably going to let these grow with the cover on for one more day. We've got some good root development underneath. Still going to water them from the top because I just kind of like to clean them off. We've got our alfalfa sprouts. These are really about ready, but I want to give my broccoli sprouts one more day and I'm going to wash them at the same time. So I'll just go ahead and let them go one more day. And here's our broccoli sprouts. They're coming right along. They're getting really thick in there, but I like to let them go just one more day so I have a little bit more volume. We'll wait till tomorrow morning. On to another day. I think today I'm going to go ahead and leave the lid off of my radishes. They're really starting to come in. I'm going to give them at least one day exposed to a little bit of sunlight. Alfalfa sprouts are looking pretty done. You'll see there's still some seed pockets right here of the hulls. So I'm just going to take the lid off, maybe. And they'll kind of drop to the bottom. Almost everything that's stuck on the lid is going to be those seed holes and a couple sprouts, but I'm going to let those go. And then if you don't have a salad spinner, this is a really good way to just kind of loosen them up. And they'll kind of float to the top, and you've got your seeds down at the bottom. But if you give it a stir, those seeds will kind of come up to the top for you, and you can just pour them out to get rid of a lot of those holes. So you can do that a couple times. But I actually like to use a salad spinner. I feel like it gets more of the seeds out for me, and then it gets my sprouts really dry. So again, if you don't have that, you certainly don't have to get one, but see if I can zoom in here. As it's filling up, those holes kind of come right off, and then I can pour those off to the side. And you can kind of lightly use your fingers to really break those up, and it'll release a lot more of those holes. But again, sometimes if I'm not feeling it, I will just leave the holes in there and eat it just like it is. But almost everything here in the bottom is just the holes. And then once you get most of the holes out that you want, you just spin it a couple times and you're ready to go. And the centrifugal force helps release a lot more of that water.
I just like to put them in a glass container. I do like to keep as much moisture out of there as I can, so I do throw a paper towel in the bottom. And then your sprouts are ready to go. And again, you can see there's still some holes in here. I'm not going to be super picky. If I get the bulk of them out, I'm happy. All right. And then I also don't worry about getting my broccoli sprouts in here after the alfalfa has been in there. I'm not worried about that either. But you can see there's a lot of holes right there on the top. So if I filled those up with water, those would come out pretty easily. But I kind of like to do this all on the same day, so I only have to clean the salad spinner once. And you can see in the broccoli, because I had a lot more seeds to start with, there are a lot more holes all the way around. And I do have my drain covers in. I like to keep all of these holes out of my water pipes. We have a septic system here, and I just try to avoid putting anything down the sink that I don't have to, other than just pure water. So you can see there's still some holes in there, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. We'll go ahead and spin that. Alright, and I'll probably be ready to harvest my radish sprouts tomorrow. I don't actually spin those out in the salad spinner, so I'm not worried about getting that on the same day. And now we have fresh sprouts for the next few days. Okay, so this is my final day on my radishes, and like I said in the beginning, I really didn't have enough seeds to fill the whole tray. So you can kind of see where these are all laying down in the middle, and the outside edges that are supported look a little bit better. But I'm going to go ahead and harvest them anyways. They'll still taste fine. I've got all my roots out of the bottom, and all I'm going to do is take a knife. I typically use one of the kids' knives because I want something that I don't care about so much. And I'm just going to go all the way around the edges and get all of my root stock off. Yikes. And then once I have most of the roots off, your plant will pull free pretty easily from the top. And then you'll just pull those out and harvest them. Now you can cut off the seed stalks if you want to. I typically don't go to that much trouble. They disappear in my house just fine as is. And I've got another order coming in from Azure with more radish seeds. And then any of these roots that I've cut off, I just throw in the compost because I don't really want to eat those. Okay, so that's it on how I like to make my radishes. I've got 3 different vessels that I use really frequently, and I do like these the best for sprouts, but it works out much better if you have enough to fill the entire tray. I hope that's helpful. It's certainly easier than getting a whole new garden started, and it's a way that you can start to grow fresh, organic vegetables in your house year-round without any other inputs. Okay, so today's going to be a big food prep day, and I'm taking all of my big blocks of cheese from Azure, and I'm going to be cutting them into smaller pieces, either for the freezer or to go ahead and shred. So I'll just jump in. As you can see, my family couldn't wait for me to prep it first. This is often when I walk into a little bit of crazy painter's tape and plastic. Okay, so that was 5 pounds, and I made 5 individual quart-sized bags. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the Sharp. The Sharp has already been cut into, and this hasn't happened to me before with the Azure cheese, but it has happened to me with Costco cheese or whatever. Sometimes when I get into a Sharp cheddar cheese, as I start to cut it, it starts to like come apart and crumble. So as where I would normally like slice this up for thin charcuterie board or something like that, I just know that nobody's going to like this crumbly cheese. So I'm going to go ahead and grate the whole thing and hope that that other brick is better. Also, I'm totally not going to wash this first. I'm going to just roll with it. The Colby Jack won't offend anybody. And after the first round of cheese goes through it, you won't even see it there. Heidi loves it when I make a mess because she gets it. Yeah, see, it's still crumbly. I don't know why it's doing that, but way better as a grated cheese for us. I am, however, making quite a mess. That's why I process all of this at the same time. And then I only have to wash this countertop and the food processor once. And it all goes in the freezer. Heidi is at my feet, wishing I would drop some more. Aren't you? This one wasn't quite as full because I could hear it kind of starting to bind up. You can see my cheese graters getting quite gnarly. I'm going to finish up these last 2 bricks, and then the next side I'm going to use this other side, which is the smaller grade, for my mozzarella. Heidi, is it Christmas down there? I think it might be. I also thought I was going to get to film this a little bit sooner, so I pulled my cheese out of the fridge a little bit early, and I would not suggest that. I think the colder the cheese is, you don't want to make your food processor work too hard, but my cheese did get a little bit soft on me, both varieties here. I've still got my mozzarella in the fridge, so that should be okay. But I don't usually have it stick so bad in the top of the food processor. But when you're filming, like, everything goes wrong. That's what happens. It's okay. We'll make it work. Okay, so there's a little bit left here on the cutting board. Nothing major. Pretty crumbly. So I'm going to just add that to the pot. A little to the floor for Heidi. We got to take care of our puppies. Okay, so I should have 5 quart-sized bags of my Sharp, 5 quart-sized bags of my Colby. I don't think I'm going to actually grade my pepper jack. All right, so this is already kind of getting smushy, so I am actually not going to be doing the pepper jack today. I'm going to give my mozzarella a chance to go through the grater and kind of see how that ends up. But I think for the pepper jack, I'm just going to keep that fresh sliced for the family. Okay, so lastly, I'm going to do some of my homemade mozzarella cheese. This is something I've been tinkering with and having a lot of fun with, but I want to get it shredded and then in the freezer. That way I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so I ended up with 5 1-pound bags of my Colby Jack, 5 1-pound bags of my sharp cheese, and then 3.5 bags of my mozzarella. So that was quite a few batches of mozzarella that I had kind of stashed away, and I wanted to go ahead and get it processed. We weren't eating it fresh as much as I would like, so I wanted to get it in the freezer, and this way we can use it on pizzas and stuff all winter long. So it's going to be perfect. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys this new 4 jars lid opener. I was really excited to try this out. I got it with my last As Your Standard order, and I was hoping that I would be able to open my Tatler lids with it being a little bit easier than what I had been using, which was one of those church key styles. And they worked okay, but I was always worried that I was going to be damaging the lip of that ring. And if you look at these cans, it's a plastic lid with a rubber seal between it, and you put the canning ring on it just like normal, and then when you take it off, this is reusable instead of being your one-time only use like we get with our regular canning jar lids. But I really wanted to try this. This is also going to keep me from damaging these lids, so they're much better for using on vacuum sealing if I'm going to store dry goods later on, or if you choose to break all the rules and reuse it, then this would be a way to maybe not damage that lid as much. But I'm not recommending that. Absolutely follow the rules. If you're going to deviate, don't say it's because Kelly told you to do so. But I wanted to show you guys how it worked on both of these, and I'm going to be using some chicken stock later today, and so I thought I would go ahead and show you. Okay, so let's look at this one first. This is just a superb lid. I really do enjoy these lids. They are really great, high quality, and I don't think I've had any of these fail this year. So it kind of seems backwards to me. I look at it and the 4 jars actually ends up going down, but you just get it under the lip, and then these 2 wings grab onto the top of your jar based on the size of your lid, and you've got all of these little teeth for different size lids. And then it just pops it open. Everything about the edge of that rim is still very flat. It didn't bend it like my church key will on some of these tighter fitting lids. But here's the real test. These Tatler lids can be kind of difficult to open. So I was really excited to try that with these, and everything that you do is pushing on this rubber gasket. And that's the only part that you actually end up having to replace after several uses is that gasket. So anything I can do to preserve that is what I want to do. And it opens these up. I do find, this is an older jar, but you get that same seal, same opening sound, and it didn't damage my rings at all. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys because I told you in that last unboxing that I'd let you know. I really like it. I actually find myself reaching for this every single time I go to open a jar. I don't use any of my openers anymore except for these. So hope that's helpful. Okay guys, that's it for this week. I hope this was helpful. I really do enjoy getting to share my kitchen with you all. If you do like these videos, please hit that like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And until then, I will see you next time.